betraying and destabilizing the ODM party while expressing solidarity with Sifuna.
Wakora waliingia kwa stage yetu asubuhi wakavunja mitambo hii. Ati kutuzuia tusiweze kuongea na nyinyi.
Wako na chama cha party, wako na chama cha ODM. Lakini sisi tuna wanachama. Wako na chama lakini sisi tuna wanachama.
Wamekula pesa kwenda kuuza chama na hatutakubali.
Sasa wale wengine wanajaribu kuuza chama cha ODM kwa Ruto. Tunawaambia Bwana Ruto, kama umewapatia deposit, waambie kurudishia pesa yako.
Jua tutaleta mageuzi na mabadiliko katika Kenya. Na mimi nataka nieleze vijana ambao wako hapa, wakina Sifuna, wakina Babu. If you want to live for a long time, stand for the truth.
Mkitoka Kitengela mtatolewa tena kwa committee. Muwe tayari. Every rally has casualties.
Hata iwapo tutachorewa, hata iwapo tutapangiwa, Bwana ndiye mchungaji wetu.
Right, at the same time, a faction of Orange Democratic Movement Party, that is loyal party leader Oburu Oginga, has dismissed the Kitengela led by Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, describing it as an act of rebellion within the party. Speaking on Sunday, the Oburu aligned group accused Sifuna and his supporters of misusing the party platform to advance rival interests and disrupt ODM's cohesion and popularity. The faction called on Sifuna and his camp to step aside from party affairs and cease activities that, in their view, undermine the party's unity and tarnish its image ahead of the critical political engagements.
Kuna wenzetu walikuwa mkutano huko Kitengela. Hiyo mkutano kulikuwa na watu kutoka ODM, watu kutoka chama ya Jubilee, watu kutoka chama ya DCP, watu kutoka chama ya Wiper, watu kutoka vyama ambaye hajulikani na vyama vyote ambaye wako katika mrengo ya Munyoro. Kama watu wameamua wafanye kazi na watu wa Munyoro, waende wafanye siasa yao huko, tafadhali wasilete tashwishi kwa watu ya ODM.
Wewe ukileta DCP kwa mambo unasema ni ya ODM, hiyo ni ODM witu, na ODM ambayo iko na wananchi, iko na wanachungwa, iko na jeshi la baba, ni ODM ambayo iko hapa Tononoka siku ya leo.
You don't go out and you start now talking as if you are the king. Na wewe kwa in the order and in the structure, you are not able to speak to the structures.
Hichi chama ambaye wengine wetu tulipigwa risasi, tukapigwa matia gas, tukafinywa, tukaumizwa, tutasimama na chama cha ODM.
Wale wawili watatu ambaye wameamua hawataki nidhamu, hawana heshima na wameanza hiyo kutoheshimu ODM wakati wa baba, watoke kwa chama, waachane na sisi.
So tusiwe na mtu yoyote kufikiria tuwe ni hodari sana paka unataka kuweka kidole kwa macho ya Oburu Odinga. Utakuwa ni kama unaweka macho kwa chama yenyewe.
Right, at the same time, DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua has launched a scathing attack on the Interior Cabinet Secretary, that is Kipchumba Murkomen, calling him the most incompetent as he criticized the government's interference in opposition political activities. Speaking at rallies across Zimmerman, Roysambu, Githurai 44 and Kahawa West towns, Gachagua condemned the tear gas disruption of Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna's Linda Mwananchi tour in Kitengela, describing the state's action as deliberate interference in opposition political rallies. Now, the DCP party leader said that such tactics undermine the democratic process and warned that the coalition will continue to mobilize supporters despite state obstacles.
Na huyu Kasongo, waziri anaitwa Murkomen, huyu Sifuna na Babu walikuwa na mkutano Kitengela, ametuma polisi wakawapiga tear gas, akifikiria akipiga watu tear gas watampenda. Wewe Murkomen umekuwa notorious kwa kutumia polisi kuhangaisha Wakenya, lakini vile mmepiga Sifuna, mmepiga Babu, ndio mambo yenu imeharibika zaidi na ndio mtapata shida. Harambe! Hata juzi nilikuwa kwa Inspector General, akatuhakikishia ya kwamba mambo ya polisi kupiga mikutano itafika mwisho. Tumeenda na pale Nakuru, tukitoka Nyandarua, polisi wakatufungia wakaweka roadblock. Tumekuja kujua polisi wanasema hiyo amri haikutoka kwa Inspector General, haikutoka kwa Deputy Inspector General, haikutoka kwa Regional Commander. Huyu Murkomen anaingilia kazi ya polisi, anapeana order direct kwa polisi ya Nakuru kuzuia mikutano. Wewe Murkomen, wacha tukuambie, mambo ya gunism ilianza saa ile umekuwa CS wa Interior. Where you are the most reckless and irresponsible CS for Interior since independence. Na huyu Murkomen, siku nilitoka United States, ndio alilipa wajumbe kila mtu $2 wapage goons watupige. Kwa hivyo Murkomen, don't talk about goons. You are the sponsor of goons in the city of Nairobi. Na mimi niseme, anaitwa Murkomen kijana mdogo, amejaa maringo kwa sababu ya pesa na power. Na sisi tunauliza, tangu independence tulikuwa na mawaziri wa hekima. Wakati ya Kenyatta tulikuwa na Bio Koinange, wakati ya Moi Justice Ole Tipis, wakati ya Kibaki tulikuwa na Saitoti, tumekuwa na General Gaiseri, tumekuwa na watu wamekomaa kina Matiang'i. Huyu mtoto William Ruto ameweka, kama atakuweka wakati ya uchaguzi atapiganisha wa Kenya. Wewe Kasongo, wacha nikuambie, kwanza hapa Nairobi na hapa Mlimani, hata ukiweka Soprano deputy utaenda nyumbani, si ndio? Ukiweka Oburu Odinga utaenda nyumbani, ukiweka Gladys Wanga utaenda nyumbani, ukienda Hassan Joho utaenda nyumbani. Hatuna haja kujua ni nani deputy yako. Haja ya Wakenya ni kupeleka wewe nyumbani kwa sababu umeharibu Kenya, si ndio?
Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has distanced himself from the growing political debate surrounding the office of the Deputy President, saying his priority remains supporting President William Ruto in delivering development across the country. Speaking amid rising political speculations over the future of the Deputy Presidency, Kindiki said that he will not be distracted by political noise and instead remains committed to the government's development agenda. Now, he noted that his current focus is to work closely with President William Ruto to ensure the effective implementation of key government projects aimed at improving the lives of Kenyans. Take a look.
Na musiletewe wasiwasi na mambo madogo madogo yale watu wanaongea, watu wa siasa. Mimi ndio Deputy President wa Kenya, na hii kiti hakuna mahali kinaenda, na tukitoka hapa hakuna kurudi nyuma, ni kusonga mbele. Mwanasiasa mzuri anajua siku ya kazi na siku ya siasa. Niseme nisiseme? Ukiwa mwanasiasa kumbavu, unaongea kila siku. Unaongea Jumatatu, Jumanne, Alhamisi, Jumapili, Januari, Disemba, ni mdomo. Wewe ni mwanasiasa ambaye hauna akili. Mwanasiasa mwenye akili anajua siku ya kuongea, siku ya kukimya, siku ya kupiga siasa na siku ya kazi.
Profesa Kithure Kindiki ndiye naibu wa rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, na ndiye atakuwa naibu wa rais 2027 kuelekea 2032. Wale ambao wanatafuta viti watafute viti, lakini wasitafute kiti ya rais na kiti ya naibu wa rais. Na kama kuna mashindano, tuko tayari kushindana na wao. Tuko katika serikali ya broad based government, na tunaheshimu hiyo maneno zaidi, na tunawajibika katika serikali ya broad based government ili umoja wetu wa taifa uendelee kudumu, ili umoja wetu wa taifa ukidhiri mizizi. Hiyo tutafanya na kuhakikisha kwamba serikali inawajibika, inajituma, inafanyia wananchi wa Kenya kazi sawa. Lakini kiti ya naibu wa rais kuelekea 2027-2032, nyinyi watu ya ODM, nyinyi kama muko na haja, tafuta kiti ingine, lakini kiti ya naibu wa rais ni ya Profesa Kithure Kindiki.
DCP party leader has announced that the United Opposition Coalition will revisit the office of the Inspector General of Police, that is Douglas Kanja, tomorrow to follow up on the investigations into the recent attack on Wetima Church in Othaya. Speaking at PCA Zimmerman Church in Roysambu constituency, where he attended as a congregant, Gachagua expressed concern over the slow pace of the investigation. He cast doubt on the authorities' commitment, alleging that police officers and investigative agencies have been reluctant to apprehend the suspects despite available evidence linking them to the crime. The DCP party leader called on the government and police to safeguard the sanctity of places of worship, describing attacks on religious institutions as acts of terrorism. This move comes 2 weeks after the United Opposition confronted Inspector General of Police, that is Douglas Kanja, in a vigilant house in Nairobi over alleged threats to opposition leaders and Kenyan citizens.
Kesho tutarudi kwa Inspector General of Police. Tulikuwa huko 2 weeks ago tukitaka kujua nani alipiga kanisa na kwa nini hajashtakiwa. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. all of us will go back kwa Inspector General atuambie wale walipiga kanisa ya Kristo wakaumiza akina mama na watoto, kwa nini wajapelekwa kotini. We'll do that tomorrow. We want to ask the government to respect the sanctity of places of worship. Ile vita tumeona kanisani hasa ya PCA, we were attacked in PCA Mweki, we were attacked in PCA Kariobangi, we were attacked in ACK Wetima, and that attack of Wetima reminds us of the 2007 attack on Kiambaa Church. Government, uchunguzi umemalizika na tunajua all the officers who attacked us in Wetima have been placed on the scene. Kwa member of parliament walienda kukula chakula baada ya kupiga kanisa inajulikana, lakini tunaona there is reluctance to forward the file to the DPP washtakiwe. Niambie serikali, until those people have been prosecuted, the Church of Christ cannot forgive the government. Wapeleke hao watu waliumiza sisi kanisani. Kwa sababu hiyo maneno ya kanisani, attacking a place of worship is a terrorist act, and all those who are government, uchunguzi umemalizika na tunajua all the officers who attacked us in Wetima have been placed on the scene. Kwa member of parliament walienda kukula chakula baada ya kupiga kanisa inajulikana, lakini tunaona there is reluctance to forward the file to the DPP washtakiwe. Niambie serikali, until those people have been prosecuted, the Church of Christ cannot forgive the government. Wapeleke hao watu waliumiza sisi kanisani. Kwa sababu hiyo maneno ya kanisani, attacking a place of worship is a terrorist act.
All right, moving on, church leaders in Kenya have called on politicians to calm the rising political temperatures and prioritize serving citizens, warning that using national issues to score political points. Now, speaking amid increasing tensions ahead of the next year's general elections, Anglican Church Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit highlighted the political rhetoric is heating up dangerously with more than a year and a half remaining before the polls. Similarly, the Catholic Archbishop of Nyeri Diocese, that is Anthony Macharia, cautioned against politicizing the ongoing drought crisis, saying that exploiting the situation for political gain could have serious consequences for the nation.
We want to plead with all of us, and especially the politicians. Now let us tone down divisive politics. Let us speak in love. Let us be truthful to our people and make sure that we serve the purpose which God has given us as leaders. This is a moment where they are now dismantling old vehicles and building new ones. And that's what happened to Kenya. You hardly get a formation that takes us through 2 elections. We dismantle, build again, alliances are broken, MOUs are broken, and they are built again.
We must not play the politics of drought, the politics of those vulnerable. We must not use them as our means of gaining popularity. We must not weaponize drought.
Now, the government of Kenya has issued a stern warning to citizens against traveling to the Russian Federation for employment secured through irregular or informal channels, citing a rising number of Kenyans falling victim to fraudulent recruitment schemes. Now, in a statement released by the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, authorities said that they have received numerous inquiries from Kenyans and their families after job seekers travel to Russia on the promise of well-paying jobs, residency permits, and stable employment, only to discover that the offers were either fake or drastically different from what they had been advertised. Now, the ministry noted that the Kenyan embassy in Russia has been inundated with distress calls from affected individuals, some of whom are stranded in restricted areas, many other making rescue and repatriation difficult. Officials warned that legal and administrative process and Russian law further complicate efforts to extract Kenyans who enter the country through unverified recruitment networks. Now, despite the challenges, the government reaffirmed its commitment to assisting affected citizens while intensifying efforts to dismantle the criminal recruitment rings targeting desperate job seekers. All right, moving on, President William Ruto has called for far-reaching reforms to strengthen the African Union's ability to respond to peace, security, and governance challenges. As he presented his reports on AU institutional reforms at the 39th ordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Now, in the report, President William Ruto proposed practical measures to enhance the continent's capacity for preventive diplomacy, crisis response, and good governance through closer collaboration, institutional coherence, and use of emerging technologies. Now, he said the document was the product of wide consultations with key AU organs, including the ad hoc oversight Committee of Heads of State and Government, the African Union Commissions, and the high-level panel of eminent experts on peace and security, as well as High Representative on Financing and the Union.
To reinvigorate the Pan-African Parliament, Decision 920 called for ratification of the 2014 Malabo Protocol granting limited legislative powers through model laws at the Assembly's invitation. I propose intensified sensitization and outreach by the Parliament Bureau, members of Parliament, and the Commission to encourage member states to ratify. Number 7, restructuring of AU organs and offices. Phase 1, restructuring reviews covered 42 entities, with most already considered by the PRC subcommittee. I propose that Phase 2 restructuring reports be submitted without delay to enable Executive Council consideration in February 2027, and that associated financial implications be addressed within the extraordinary session on union financing. Decision 920 mandated Dr. Donald Kaberuka, High Representative on Financing the Union, to consult on overall union financing. I propose that with Commission support, he undertakes further consultations with member states to strengthen consensus on key strategic financing issues. The Assembly also called for an extraordinary Executive Council session, bringing together Ministers of Foreign Affairs and Finance to advance union financing and peace fund strengthening. I recommend that this session be convened accordingly. I further propose that this meeting consider the financial implications arising from restructuring AU organs, agencies, and offices for a decision of the Assembly in our next year meeting. In view of increasing budgetary demands, I propose leveraging internal resources and African financial institutions, including inviting their chief executives to contribute funding options to complement member states' contribution towards Agenda 2063 priorities. I also propose renewed coordinated advocacy by the Commission, the High Representative on Financing, the Peace and Security Council, and the 3 African members of the UN Security Council for implementation of Security Council Resolution 2719 of 2023 on predictable and sustainable financing for AU-led support of operations that will be funded by UN-assessed contributions.
Now, as Kenyans across the country marked Valentine's Day with flowers, cards and romantic gifts, Manchester United fans in Bungoma County chose a different and life-saving way to celebrate love by donating blood to patients in need. Supporters of the English Premier League giants gathered in Bungoma town and held a blood donation drive aimed at boosting the blood supplies for patients admitted at Bungoma County referral hospitals and other health facilities across the county. Now, speaking during the event, the group's chairperson Anthony Moholi said the initiative was part of their wider commitment to giving back to the society. He noted that through their supporters network, they have continued to support vulnerable members of the community through various social programs.
Leo ni siku ya kutoa damu, siku ya wapendanao kwetu. Tuliona ya kwamba ni afadhali tuone wale watu hawajiwezi. Hospitali zetu ziko na shida mingi sana na wagonjwa ni wengi wanakosa damu. Badala ya kupeleka maua, afadhali tusanye watu watoe damu na wasaidie wale ambao hawajiwezi. Huyo ndio upendo tunataka kupeana siku ya leo. Na upendo wetu mkubwa ni lazima tutonate damu so that hospitali zetu zikuwe na damu ya kutosha, ili wagonjwa wasikose damu wakati kunakuwa na ugonjwa mkubwa ama mtu anahitaji zaidi. Hivyo ukiponya, ukisave life, utakuwa umependa mtu dunia mzima na umepeana mtu life ya tomorrow na anaweza saidia vitu mingi.
Manchester United Fans Club, which is now a nationwide Manchester United fans 254. We have actually been doing this yearly, like we are doing this in February, and then in April we'll be having a mega event that is a national event. That event is going to be hosted by us, Bungoma Fans Club, Manchester United Fans Bungoma. So we are going to host it in April. It's gonna be big. We are going to advertise our Bungoma County and majorly Bungoma South in Kandui sub-county, wherever we are going to bring people around from Mombasa, Kisii, Turkana, all the way from Taita Taveta. All those branches will be coming here from Kericho, Nandi. We have all those branches, the ones that you can see from behind me. Those are the branches that will be joining us in April for the event. And we are going to make people who are feeling less fortunate at least feel loved and feel remembered in the community.
For me, blood donation has become personal. In the month of September 2025, my father urgently needed blood. He was admitted in Nairobi Hospital and they didn't have blood group O positive. I called on the Manchester United membership and they came through. My father was able to get the life-saving blood that he needed. Unfortunately, he passed on in December, but we thank God that he at least lived for another 3 months because of the magnanimity of the Manchester United fraternity.
Now, the National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula has underscored the strategic importance of Lamu Port and the Lapsset corridor, saying it is not just a local facility but a vital gateway for Kenya and the wider East Africa region. Speaking on Saturday at Pate Girls Secondary School during the school's prize-giving day ceremony on Pate Island in Lamu County, Wetangula said that the port is designed to serve landlocked countries such as the South Sudan and Ethiopia, opening new trade routes that will spur economic growth, create jobs and boost infrastructure development across the region. Now, he urged local communities, especially the youth, to acquire relevant education and technical skills to take advantage of emerging opportunities in maritime services, logistics and international trade.
Na nyinyi wazee muunge hii port yenu mkono, kwa sababu hii port mzee Kibaki tulipoleta hapa, mnakumbuka tulikuja hapa na mzee Kibaki, Prime Minister Meles Zenawi wa Ethiopia, tulikuja na Rais wa Sudan Salva Kiir, Rais Museveni alituma mtu yake. Tukifungua hii port tulisema this is the port for the region and for the northern corridor ya Lapsset. Kwa hivyo hii maendeleo itafungua Lamu, muanze kuwa kama Mombasa hata mpite Malindi kuwa hub ya maendeleo ya biashara ya kila kitu. Na hii mimi naunga mkono, tukiandika watu kazi tuanzie nyumbani, kwamba serikali itachukua kwa maanani kubwa kabisa mambo ya usalama hapa, kuhakikisha ya kwamba wale majambazi walikuwa wanakuja hapa kuhangaisha watu, kuharibu maisha yenu, kuharibu biashara, kupiga watu, kuumiza watu, kuharibu mali, serikali haitakubali hiyo itendeke, na itaendelea kuhakikisha bahari inalindwa, bara inalindwa, ili watu wakae kwa amani, waweze kufanya kazi yao.
Right now, let's get sporting. Kenya's rising starlets have been knocked out of the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup qualifiers after suffering a painful 3-1 defeat on penalties to Tanzania in an intense return leg played at the Azam Sports Complex in Dar es Salaam. But the two sides were locked at 1-1 on aggregate after two tightly contested matches following a 1-0 victory in the first leg in Nairobi and Tanzania's 1-0 win in the second leg, forcing the decisive tie to be settled from the spot. Now, Kenya had travelled to Tanzania with a narrow advantage, and through Elizabeth Mideva's late winner in the first leg at Ulinzi Sports Complex, head coach Jacqueline Juma had indicated before the match that their side will focus on defensive discipline, knowing a draw would be enough to secure progression. Tanzania, however, came into the game under pressure to overturn the deficit and started brightly pushing forward in the search of an early breakthrough. Kenya's defense, marshaled by Captain Elizabeth Ochaka, stood firm and repelled several early attacks, while Mideva and Valerie Nekesa posed a threat on the encounter. The deadlock was finally broken in the 51st minute when Tanzania were awarded a penalty, which when Frida calmly converted to level the tie on aggregate. Right, it is exactly 28 minutes past the top of the hour. Thank you so much for making time to be with us here on EBN Weekend Edition. My name is Martin Macharia, you know, up to speed with us making headlines from across 47 counties and of course in the world of sports. And of course, on behalf of the entire team that made this particular broadcast a success, with Asante Sana. Of course, let's do this again when God says we do.